I've always liked creating things with my hands. When I was a kid, I carved wood, started when I was like 6, 7 years old. And in school, people were doing a lot of metalwork, and I wanted to try it. They kept telling me, oh, it's so much more forgiving than woodwork, and I tried it. They had a forge in the basement. I went downstairs, I got metal hot, I hit it, and I went, this is what I want to do. And it was really as simple as that. My senior year, I got an apprenticeship with a very well-known blacksmith. Did that, did some journeyman work, and then opened up my own business. And that's where my education really began. The whole blacksmithing world, it's a really difficult job. It's hot, dirty, loud, hard physical work. If you don't love it, you've got to find something else to do. I love it. You can see them that way with light behind it, or this way without light behind it. I'm trying to find a way to use my work where I don't have to kill myself physically to make things happen.
And how long have you been doing it?
A little more than 25 years now. A lot of times I won't really have much more of an idea that I'm making a mask of some sort. Sometimes I know exactly what I want. What I found really is the pieces, all right, I made one after my mom died called Grief. And I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew the pose I wanted this figure to be in. I knew everything about it. And that was very difficult because I had a certain picture in my head that I had to create. When I'm taking something like a piece of copper and I'm making a mask out of it, and I don't have anything in particular that I want to do other than to say I want it to offer a representation of a person and a landscape. It's very free. The other is very constricted, but yet there are times I want that. And since it's so constricting and it's really hard, it's nice to have the juxtaposition of the one that's not. I think it keeps my sanity intact. What I've been trying to do is find different ways to represent the human figure, even if it's an abstraction. You can still tell that it's a human figure, but I also want to do it in such a way that you're going to want to think about it a bit. And that's an important aspect that I try to accomplish with my work, is to offer people something they want to think about. I try to involve motion in the work so it looks like it's moving. And generally I don't put the whole figure in there. So immediately you're looking at it and filling in what's not there. I've always been fascinated by ancient art. And a lot of times I like to make work that looks like it just got pulled out of the ground. I don't always do the human figure, but I do enjoy it. Most of my family is in medicine. When I was growing up, the conversations around the dinner table, that's what they involved. So, learning anatomy and all that's involved in that has just been a part of my life since I was a tiny little boy who could understand what people were saying. It's hard work, but I do enjoy it. And enjoying my work is good with me, good enough. I prefer not to get burned, but other than that, I love it. I had a little water from that. It hit me right there.
Yeah.
It's one thing to hit you there and another to hit you inside the mouth. You find out exactly how sensitive the inside of your mouth is. Years ago, I had a young woman I was helping with some artwork, and she said, "Who are you to say anything? All your work is great." No, it's just that's the stuff you see. You haven't seen the pile in the back of my shop. Actually, this style of work came about because of a complete failure. I was making Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvius Man out of copper, three-dimensional. I was making the face. And it was too big, and I knew it, But I kept going, thinking, I can compress it, it's copper, I can upset it down to size, and finally I couldn't. And I realized, I just went, okay, I know I've failed. I put it on the horn of the anvil, I smacked it, I threw it on my table, and I went home. I came back the next day, I loved it. My failure, I loved it. And all that came from failure. So, failure is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that happens. And if you're not willing to take the chances, you're really stuck. You're not going to go anywhere. You got to be willing to push yourself. Got to be willing to fail. Willing to fail is not the right word. You got to accept that it might happen. I'm not willing to fail. I don't want to fail. But if it does, it's okay. Just so you know, I don't know if this will work. When I'm looking at a piece I've made that I'm in the middle of, I'm a little more emotionally involved. I love to have work that I can get done, set aside for a few months, and then come back and look at it. I hate selling a piece as soon as I've made it. I don't have a time to break away from it and see if I even like it. I used to beat myself up a lot. My family's in medicine. They're like doing things for the betterment of the world. And here I am pursuing something that is so self-centered, being an artist. And it is because it has to be. In my mind, if you want to be a good artist, you have to find your own voice. This is a very egocentric act, and by necessity. So I was battling with myself for years. My passion, I love, is so egocentric, and yet my goal in life is to do whatever I can to make the world a better place. For a long time, I thought, smiling at the cashier and being friendly to people, that's about as much as I can do. And I had an epiphany one day. I was doing some shows, and it's just the way people loved my work and were buying my work all of a sudden. And I realized that my artwork actually makes a positive difference in the world. This morning, a guy's riding his bike up the road, and he had bought a couple pieces from me last year. And he said, my wife died last week after a 15-year battle with cancer. And he said, but the work we had that we bought from you really made a difference in our lives while she was alive. I damn near broke down in tears. That really was a life-changing thing for me, to understand that artwork actually can make a positive difference in the world. So I encourage myself to be egocentric and go for it, rather than chastise myself for it, which for a long time was what I did.